The trade war between the United States and China is a serious issue. President Trump wants to talk directly with President Xi. He believes that direct talks are the best way to solve the problem. Trump wants a one-on-one meeting. He thinks this will lead to a deal. However, President Xi is not eager to meet. He is focusing on other things. He wants to strengthen ties with Southeast Asia. This is a priority for China. Xi is sending a message. He is showing that China has other options. This standoff is a problem. It prevents progress. Both sides are stuck. Without talks, the trade war will continue. This hurts both economies. It also creates uncertainty in the global market. The lack of communication is alarming. There is no United States ambassador to China. This is a key diplomatic position. It is usually filled quickly. The absence of an ambassador sends a negative signal. It suggests that the United States is not prioritizing the relationship. Furthermore, there is no point person for negotiations. The Chinese government has asked for one. They want a counterpart. This would allow for more focused discussions. It would also show that the United States is serious about finding a solution. The White House denies that it is stifling communication. They claim that talks are happening at lower levels. However, this is not enough. High-level engagement is crucial. It shows commitment and builds trust. President Trump prefers direct engagement with world leaders. He believes in personal diplomacy. He thinks he can get better deals this way. He has used this approach with other leaders like Vladimir Putin. Trump is skeptical of traditional diplomacy. He sees it as slow and ineffective. He wants quick results. He believes that direct talks are the best way to achieve this. However, this approach has drawbacks. It can be seen as impulsive. It can also bypass important diplomatic channels. These channels exist for a reason. They help to build consensus and manage expectations. President Xi is a cautious leader. He does not like to be rushed. He prefers to build consensus within the Chinese government. He is also wary of Trump's unpredictable style. Xi is concerned about potential humiliation. He remembers the Zelensky incident. Trump pressured the Ukrainian president. He asked for favors. This was seen as inappropriate. Xi does not want to be in a similar situation. Instead, Xi is focusing on strengthening regional ties. He is visiting Southeast Asian countries. He is signing trade deals. This shows that China is not isolated. It has other options. Section 5. Back channels ignored. Some individuals have tried to open back channels. They want to get the two sides talking. They believe that informal diplomacy can be helpful. They think it can build trust and explore solutions. However, these attempts have been ignored. Both sides are suspicious of back channels. They see them as unofficial and unreliable. They prefer to stick to formal channels. This is a missed opportunity. Back channels can be valuable. They allow for frank discussions. They can help to identify common ground. They can also prepare the ground for formal negotiations. Section 6. The economic fallout. The trade war is having a real impact. Tariffs are hurting businesses and consumers. The cost of goods is rising. This is fueling inflation. In April 2025, Trump imposed a minimum 54% tariff on Chinese imports. He later increased it to over 100%. China retaliated with similar tariffs. This escalation has rattled markets. It has also increased the risk of a recession. The longer the trade war continues, the worse the economic damage will be. Businesses are losing confidence. They are delaying investments. This is slowing down economic growth. Section 7. The need for a point person. The Chinese government has repeatedly asked for a U.S. point person for negotiations. They want someone with authority, someone who can speak for the president. This would show that the U.S. is serious about resolving the trade war. However, the Trump administration has resisted this request. They argue that existing channels are sufficient. However, these channels have not produced results. The absence of a point person is a major obstacle. Appointing a point person would be a positive step. It would signal a willingness to engage. It would also provide a focal point for discussions. This could help to break the deadlock. Section 8. Lessons from history. History is full of examples of how diplomacy can resolve conflicts. The Cold War is a prime example. The US and the Soviet Union were able to find ways to communicate and negotiate. They established hotlines, they held summits, they signed treaties. These efforts helped to prevent a nuclear war. The current trade war is not as dangerous as the Cold War. However, it still has the potential to escalate. Both sides need to learn from history. They need to find ways to talk to each other. They need to rebuild trust. Diplomacy is not always easy. It takes time, it takes patience. But it is essential for resolving conflicts and maintaining peace. Section 9. A path forward. The trade war between the US and China is a complex issue. However, it is not insurmountable. There are steps that both sides can take to resolve it. First, President Trump should reconsider his demand for direct talks with President Xi. While direct engagement can be helpful, it should not be a precondition for negotiations. Second, the US should appoint a point person for trade negotiations with China. This would show that the US is serious about finding a solution. Third, both sides should be open to back-channel diplomacy. Informal discussions can help to build trust and explore solutions. Fourth, both sides should refrain from further escalation. This means no more tariffs or other punitive measures. The economic pressure from the trade war is mounting. This could eventually force both sides back to the negotiating table. However, it is better to find a solution sooner rather than later. The longer the trade war continues, the more damage it will do to both economies.